Making six figures a year is not impossible, but if you do these three things, you probably will never get there. So guys, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the three things that I feel hold most people back from making six figures, seven figures, and really living life that they want to live. So let's get started. Reason number one why you probably will never make six figures is you lack clarity. And clarity is a very broad word, but it's a very, very important thing. If you've never actually taken 30 seconds to sit down, decide what you want to do, and decide how you think to get there, or create a plan, or consciously make the decision that I'm going to make XYZ happen, it'll never happen. Everything starts in your mind, and as cliche as it sounds, your mind is the most powerful thing that you have. And this can range from anything, right? If I want to go put on 20 pounds of muscle, I need to decide consciously, okay, I want to put on 20 pounds of muscle. I want to get in this kind of shape. I want to look like this. I want to do XYZ. How do I do that? Well, I need to do this. I need to diet. I need to lift 6 times a week. I need to get adequate sleep, and I need to do the things necessary to get there. And most people never even get as far as deciding what they want to do, and they lack the clarity of where they're going in their life. So for example, if I want to make $15,000 a month, I need to look at all the different vehicles that can get me to $15,000 a month. And those could be anything from agency to sales to copywriting to e-com or whatever else you want to do. I need to pick one of those. I need to have clarity on the vehicle that I want to go after. And then I need to make a plan in order to get there. And simply doing that and deciding in your mind that I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this is the first step in actually making things happen and doing something as big as making six figures a year. And that brings me to my second point, which is you probably are in the wrong vehicle. And what do I mean by vehicle? I don't mean car. I mean the actual mechanism that is going to get you to your goals. And in this case, that's making six figures. So I get the question all the time, does this model work? Does this model work? Does this model work? And while I think there are better models than others, for example, I'm a big fan of sales. I think everyone should get into sales opposed to other models. They all work. That's the funny thing is they all work. The problem is the people asking these questions, they don't work. It's not the model, it's the person. And if you pick the wrong vehicle, unfortunately, it's going to be very difficult for you to get there no matter how hard you do work, okay? So for example, if I want to make six figures a year and I am the janitor at a Long John Silver's, it's going to be literally impossible mathematically for me to get there. But if I am taking sales calls for a very valuable company, right? And I'm literally looking at the math of the calls I'm taking. Let's say I'm selling a $10,000 offer at 10% commission. So I make $1,000 each deal I close. And if I want to make six figures a year, we work our way backwards. That means I need to make $8,333 a month. Okay. If I make $1,000 per close, that means I need to close, let's call it 9 deals a month in order to be on pace monthly to hit that yearly number. So if I really, really want to do that, all I have to do is get into sales or whatever other model you think it is, pick the vehicle and work your way backwards, do the math and figure out what steps are necessary to actually get there. You see what I mean? It's all about your vehicle. I have friends with below average IQs and frat boys and college students that are making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month because they are in the right vehicle. Okay. That's why a solar sales rep can go make $50,000 a month at 20 years old, while a corporate office job sales rep or someone who sells door-to-door pest control or something of that sort is only going to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month. So number two is the vehicle, and it is a very, very, very important aspect of making six figures a year. Number three, when it comes to achieving big things, or in this case, making six figures a year, is you're not consistent. And a lack of consistency in anything is a recipe for disaster, whether that is bodybuilding or making money or literally pursuing anything meaningful in life. You have to show up, you have to be consistent. And I hate to break it to you, but your little 1 week bursts of dopamine and motivation and watching all these hustle porn videos on YouTube are not going to help you. It's inconsistent. The thing that actually moves people forward is not bursts of motivation or all these different things. Guys, I'm going to tell you personally, motivation does not exist. It is not real, and you should never rely upon that. These people that are like, oh, I want to start this business, or I want to do this, or I want to be an NFL player, whatever it is, and they watch YouTube videos and they get all excited and they feel good. Guys, that's dopamine. You're stimulating your brain by thinking of the things you want, which isn't a bad thing. It's good to get inspired. But the thing that gets you there is the hard, boring work. And that's why nobody tells you this, because it's not sexy, it doesn't sound good, and it doesn't sell anything. When I tell you, you have to show up every day and you have to work your ass off to get what you want. It took me 4 years I'm 22 now, from when I was 18, it took me 3.5 years to make my first $1 million. In the last 8 months or in the last year, I made over $1 million. So that success compounds, but the time that it took to get there, to even start compounding, it took a while. And for example, think of it like a compounding graph. If I have a linear graph, that's not realistic. That's not how life works. Everything is not X equals X. It's not 1 + 1, okay? You're getting nowhere, right? But eventually you get a step forward and you get a small incremental gain and you get 1% better here, 1% better here. And then by the time a year has gone by, you look back and you're in a completely different state than you were when you started. And then your success compounds, and then it starts to grow faster and faster and faster. And you set bigger goals like 7 figures and 8 figures and do this and do this and do this. And then it works. But the only way you get there is consistency. If I would have quit anywhere along those 3.5, 4 years, I wouldn't be talking to you guys. You wouldn't be listening to me on YouTube, and I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing now. So make sure that when you set goals and you decide you want to do things, that you are consistent, you're putting in the effort necessary, and you don't rely on these little dopamine hustle YouTube videos and go blare music and all these things. Okay. Like for example, I even stopped listening to music when I lift because I was kind of depending on the music, and I quit using pre-workout. I quit using everything. And now, do you know what I rely on? I rely on discipline. Discipline is always better than motivation, and discipline is what leads to consistency. Consistency is what makes great things happen. So for example, I love to relate this to sales again. I think it's the best vehicle for you guys to get into. If I get into sales and I'm trying to get a client and I'm doing outreach on Instagram, I'm sending cold DMs. If I do it for a week and it doesn't work and I stop, I'm never going to be successful. I will never get that client. But if I keep setting appointments and I keep reaching out to people and I keep trying to find that client, eventually somebody will respond. And then that is the starting point of your success. That's where it compounds from there. But the problem is most people never get to that point. They quit early, they stop, and they never get to the point where success starts to compound, that door gets knocked down, and they can finally climb up the ladder. So guys, that is why most people will never reach 6 figures in their year. Again, I think the most important part of this is these 3 pillars. Your clarity of what you want to do. You have to mentally make a decision. You have to pick the right vehicle, especially if you want to do something like 6 figures. It has to make sense mathematically. Something like sales, copywriting, and agency, something like that. And number 3 is you have to be consistent. If you don't put the work in and you're not consistent, you'll never get anywhere, even if you follow the first 2 steps. So guys, if you want more help with your vehicle, check the link in the description. We talk a lot about sales on this channel. Sales changed my life, and I've watched it change the lives of several other people. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.